Alrighty, so today we're going to talk about another coaching change that happened in MLS because it feels like every single week we have been talking about a coaching change that has happened in MLS ever since Mateus Almeida was let go by the Quakes. Well, actually, I think every single week is a bit of a stretch. I mean, we already have four coaching changes so far this season, and unlike the previous three coaching change where we see the team fire their head coach, this one's a little bit different, as today NYCFC announced that head coach Ronny Delia is actually going to be leaving the team immediately, and he is going to be now going back to Europe and coach with Standard Liege in the Belgium league. Now, this is also something that isn't really kind of a big surprise. I mean, unlike the last one with Miguel Angel Ramirez being fired by Charlotte FC, that kind of caught everybody by surprise. This one, it's been a rumor saying that, Ronny Delia potentially could be heading back to Europe and could be potentially coaching Standard Liege for a week or so, and it seems like the rumor is now indeed true, and that today it was made official that he is going to be leaving NYCFC. Though, again, this is kind of an interesting one because we don't usually see a lot of head coach come to MLS and then immediately just go back to Europe, or even go to Europe to pursue a better coaching career. I mean, we see that all the time with players, and especially that's pretty much the initiative that MLS has been pushing in these past couple of years. But yeah, this is really one of the few times where we see a head coach decide to come to MLS to, I mean, I don't want to say he come to MLS to continue to develop his coaching career so a bigger team in Europe can potentially snatch him. Because remember, Ronny Delia, before he come to NYCFC, he was with Celtic. Like, Celtic was a giant in Scottish football, and certainly one of the more well-known team in the European game, and he even won a couple of titles with Celtic. So it was kind of weird the fact that he decided to come to NYCFC, and you're thinking maybe he was going to work up his rank to be maybe a head coach of Man City because of the NYCFC and the City Football Group connection. But no, it seems like he decided to go to Standard Liege, which, again, this is a team that is not about Belgium powerhouse. Like, this is a team that finished mid-table last season, and it just feels like maybe it's a step backwards in terms of the ambition that Ronny Delia is coaching a team. I mean, if he was going to a more well-known team or even in the Bundesliga, then yeah, that of course makes sense. But to the Belgian league, that's kind of an interesting choice for him to do. But nevertheless, I certainly wish him the best, and certainly NYCFC fans all wish him the best. And that I'm pretty sure he is definitely going to be remembered for a very long time, being the head coach to win their team their first ever title last season. And I guess maybe because of the way that he's already won a title, he's already did pretty much most of the things that he can do for NYCFC, and do something that their intercity rival has still not been able to do since when they came into the league in its exception of the league. I think he feels like that's just pretty much enough, and that he's gonna move on for another team. Now, in terms of how is that gonna affect NYCFC? Well, first of all, the interim head coach that's gonna be coming in is Nick Cushing, who, surprise, surprise, he came from the City Football Group. I mean, I say that as an exaggeration because of the way that, I mean, you knew that their assistant comes from Man City or within the City Football Group realm. So he's going to take charge of this team. He was actually the Man City women's head coach for a while now, so he has had some experience in terms of head coaching, but not in the men's level, and we'll see how that of course would translate, and see whether if he is going to even get the job on a permanent base, because there's already some rumors about who can potentially be the next head coach of NYCFC, and that whoever is going to be the next head coach of NYCFC is going to be a well known, either a well known prospect kind of head coach or a head coach that we know before that is going to do very well with the team. Because one thing that NYCFC has done a really good job, besides being excellent in terms of the scouting network, is that they have also done a great job in terms of finding good head coach that can bring the team to success year after year. So I don't think this is going to be something that NYCFC fans should be worried now that Ronny Delia is no longer the head coach. I mean, the talent itself on its team should be enough that I think any head coach, well, I wouldn't say any head coach, but as long as a decent amount of head coach, and as long as if Nick Cushing is going to do the same thing that Ronny Delia is going to do, this team should be able to continue to be one of the hottest, if not the hottest team right now in MLS. But one thing I've also want to kind of talk about before I'll let you guys guys know in the comment section what do you think of this video, and also what do you think of this news, is the fact that I think this is now the 5th head coach that NYCFC had in the last 8 years or so, and this is kind of one of the thing that is a little bit concerned for NYCFC, where there seems to be a very high turnover in terms of coaching changes. Hell, there was even times where Ronny Delia was actually being under serious heat, and that I think in the beginning of the season there was time when he was or even in the MLS Cup winning season when this team was not well in the middle of September, he was kind of catching a lot of heat, and then he looked like he was going to be let go very soon. But stability is something that you definitely want to have in terms of the head coaching position. Though I will say that there are teams around the world that has been proven that you don't really need stability in terms of the head coaching role to continue to have success. I mean, the prime example of that is the team that I support in terms of teams in Europe, in Chelsea, where it feels like every single year they basically just fire their head coach, and it seems like they can continue to be at the highest level. And I guess maybe this is the same case for NYCFC, and when you're also kind of a team that is a parent club of a bigger well-known team that is Manchester City and the City Football Group. I guess that of course will happen, and at least so far it doesn't hinder their performance no matter what kind of head coach that they had. But I'm pretty sure some NYCFC fans feel like one day maybe they'll have some stability in terms of the head coach, because again, usually in MLS when you go through a revolving door of head coach, it's not always the best thing. And a prime example of that is the San Jose Earthquakes, in that the Quakes had a revolving door of head coach in these last couple of years. I mean, Matías Almeida was kind of like the longest reigning head coach. Before we also had a couple of head coach that's been just come in and out and that that's something that it might work in terms of the short term in terms of getting the performance of the team, but in terms of the long term, it does start to kind of affect the play, because when you're a player, and especially for a player that's been with a team for a long time, having different head coaches and having a revolving door head coach is not going to help you in terms of continue to play at the top of the game and continue to just kind of play the way that you want to play, because as a player you want to have a good relationship with your head coach and want to build that trust with the head coach so that he can play you game in and game out. And with a revolving door of head coach, that's just not going to happen. But we'll see whether or not if NYCFC is going to continue to do well now that they're under their interim head coach Nick Cushing. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to still do well. Well, with the way that, again, the talent of this team should be good enough where even if they do lose Ronny Delia and certainly his influence, this team should still do well for the rest of the season. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this news? And also let me know in the comments below who can potentially be the next permanent head coach of this NYCFC team. I mean, now the way that now we have 4 teams that are looking for a permanent head coach, I think it's going to be very interesting to see the coaching candidate market, where I'm pretty sure a lot of these head coaches that is either out of a job or maybe potentially be going to another team. It's going to be interesting to see where they're going to eventually go, because I talked about before when the first 2 head coach being fired this season in Hern Losada and Matías Almeida, and that I mentioned some interesting names that could potentially be replacing them. It's going to be interesting to see whether those kind of names I've mentioned before in those videos could potentially be a replacement for NYCFC too. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.